So then, as a lead up, so then I did have an idea for filming that I might do at the end of this. My character from the last movie is trying to convince all of you on the board that you need to like fund our graboid hunting expedition. And I went online and this is footage from the internet that I found. This appears to be someplace in Japan where they have these creatures and they're on display and I think a couple people died. And guys, we need money for this right here, right now. We gotta install seismometers all throughout town, or these things are gonna get us. They're coming for us right now. So I was telling Justin I had a good fun time because they do a great job with practical effects. That's actually one of my favorite things about Tremors, and just knowing that these are all puppets. A lot of them have wires coming up through them, and most of these shriekers are actually backpacks. Like there's people with these things. And they got them on their heads like this, just like moving around and stuff. And it's really just like, oh wow, like what you can do with just a little bit was really just kind of fascinating. It's insane, I know, but beautiful. We've got some husks, shriekers. There's metamorphosing that happens all throughout this. And yeah, I'm waiting for my nephews to show up. It's their birthday today, so I got my major person I need here today.
Oh, those are the butt blasters.
Yes, these are called ass blasters, actually.
Ass blasters.
These are canonically called ass blasters. This is actually, that's not even a joke.
I'm not gonna lie, those ones are kind of cute. I like them better than the crawlies.
It's true. They're called ass blasters because they blast fire from their ass. It's yeah, and it's a kind of an in-joke with the writers of the movie. When they first made the very first Tremors, Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward were just swearing all over the place because they wanted to be like cowboys, and they had to go back and ADR, which is audio digital re-record, all of their lines because they were just dropping F-bombs all over the place and stuff. And the MPAA was like, we're going to give you like a hard R rating unless you get rid of some of these here. So then the original Tremors movies has all these weird little like, instead of what the F, it's what the shit, or like suck my ass and things like this, where you're just like, oh, you can tell that you had to like redo this. So the writers were like, well, we're kind of like, you guys made us like take rid of all the swear words, so they called a creature an ass blaster as a way of fighting back against that. But yeah, this is my docudrama. It's actually got all 4 stages of the graboid life cycle. We've got eggs, and then dirt dragons, and then graboids, shriekers, and then ass blasters. And yeah, Jen's right. Ass blasters are pretty cute, actually. Wow. They really are.
I never thought of them as cute things.
Actually, I find the shriekers are the cutest ones in my eye. And this is from the 4th Tremors movie where they go back in the past even too. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Which is actually my favorite movie too, just because it's got Michael Gross is literally in every single Tremors movie, and he always plays the same character, except for in this one where he plays a handy dandy man, just a Philadelphia dandy, and he's got his own like tweedly mustache and everything, and it's actually quite cute. So. Is from a TV show. Yeah, Tremors has a TV show. I know. I will. If we're going to get going, I have one person here to start it off with. Yeah, I know, right?
Okay. We were going to wait for our nephews because they will come rolling in at some point, but they're not here. So we're just going to get this going. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Kaitlin Burzlaff-Luett. This is my life partner, Levi. And we are here to talk about the movie Tremors. And I just wanted to give you a little insight into my life. I had never heard of this movie up until about 5 years ago. And now it is one of the cruxes of mine and Levi's marriage. I've watched every movie more times than I can count. I've seen the TV show, and we're literally going to drive across the country next week to go watch the movies in another state with all kinds of other Tremors fans. So,
That's cool.
yeah. That's what I just hope you all are ready for a crash course in something you've probably never even thought about before. Welcome, Levi Burzlaff.
Hey, everybody! So you got your little pamphlets in front of you. I was actually quite proud of making these. Thank you very much. So if you want to see what we will be going through today, you can check that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. What?
They just got here.
Of course they just got here.
Just
That's how
keep
that
going.
works.
I'll get.
It's fine. I actually, weirdly enough, they probably know more about Tremors than you guys do. Because I showed them Tremors at a very early age. Because while this may be like a very, on the surface, a very freaky looking monster movie, it's actually quite wholesome and actually very family friendly. And all the people that made this monster movie with the aim to make it family friendly and make it a whole thing. So what is Tremors? Tremors is an homage to the 1950s creature features of yesteryear. Things like Creature from the Black Lagoon and Them, which is a movie about giant ants. And it was actually created, the idea of it, in 1976 when a writer, Steve S.S. Wilson, was sitting on a rock and he thought to himself, you know, what if I couldn't get down from this rock? He wrote it on a little piece of paper, put it in his pocket, and he was in the Navy at the time, and he just like went about his day. And him and his writing partner, Brett Maddock, ended up writing Short Circuit, which is actually probably a movie I hope most people would know. It's got the Johnny Five robot, number 5 Johnny Five robot in it. Wrote that and actually was a smash success for them, and basically ended it up so that they could write whatever they wanted to and all. And their producer, Nancy Roberts, came to them and was like, okay, so here, what do you want to do? And they're like, well, we have this like movie about what they called at the time land sharks, and lo and behold, now we have Tremors here. And while it seems, like I said, this seems like a very, it's all nasty and like disgusting and freaky looking stuff or whatever, the aim of this was to make a movie that everyone could enjoy, that was still gave a lot of horror to it, but a lot of humor and humanity to it at the same time. And as we're going through here, you'll see there's multiple stages of the life cycle. There are graboids, there are these shriekers, because they literally, wait for it, shriek and yell. It's very, graboids, the name for it even comes from literally the first movie has the store owner, played by Victor Wong, trying to make a buck off of naming these monsters, and him and this little teenage kid are trying to, snakeoids or monster worms or, they just grab you, ooh, graboids, that's a good name, and lo and behold, now we got graboids. And so graboids turn into shriekers, which as we've already discussed, then turn into ass blasters, and this whole series ended up being created by 4 different people. Steve S.S. Wilson, Brent Maddock, Nancy Roberts, and Ron Underwood. They actually have a history together. They all met at the UCLA Film School, and from there, like I said, they made Short Circuit. Before that, they were making educational library shorts, where one of my favorite ones is a robot, which ended up kind of becoming the original idea for Short Circuit, a robot that was teaching kids how to read the dictionary and how to like actually use a dictionary. So there's that. There's one for making a map, how to actually use a map and stuff. So like I said, while it may seem like these are freaky monster movies, there is a weird educational aspect to it. So even right here, these people are using doors to hide from the shriekers because the shriekers have heat vision. There's this great, I would call the theme of Tremors, which is a plan. What's your plan? You gotta have a plan. You know, running's not a plan, running's what you do when a plan fails. And everybody, there's always these very creative ways of like, you're not just shooting the monsters. Actually, one of my favorite things about this is that there is a character played by Michael Gross throughout all of the movies, who's a very big gun nut. And a lot of people love him because he's a gun nut. But if you actually watch the movies, his guns really don't kill the creatures at all. There's about a grand total of 2 times that it does, and one of the times he actually shoots a hole through a shrieker, through a concrete wall, through a house, through a barrel, and then into the truck that they needed to escape. So it's not, there's this great level of very self-reflective, self-aware humor to the whole series. And like I said, they're just, I get caught up as I look at this because it's just brilliant the way that they're using practical effects. That was always the main thing with this. This is my one CGI shot that I allowed in here. But the most of these are all just practical. We built these. I love to point out that if you like the movie Aliens or Predator, the guys that made the Alien and the Predator, Tom Woodruff Jr. and Alec Gillis, made graboid shriekers and ass blasters. They made them for every single movie. They created everything that we know about them. And they really tried to instill very real-life qualities from real-life animals into it and make it something that, like, yes, it's fantastical and it's shooting. While the ass blaster shoots fire out of its butt, this is actually a physical attribute from our own animal kingdom. The bombardier beetle is able to mix these chemicals, which is a combination of hydrogen peroxide and another one, to literally shoot this hyper spray out of its butt. And they turned it into that right there. It's flying away now. And like, so this Tremors is this absolutely expansive universe. It's been going on since 1989. We're in 2023 now, and like Kaitlin said, there's a Tremors Fest coming up that we're going to. Michael Gross is going to be there. Actually, Michael Gross wanted to be here today, but unfortunately he sent me instead. So hello from Michael Gross, everybody. That's actually completely true. I've been messaging him on Facebook. That's really weird for me. He's actually seen this movie that we're about to show you later, and he actually really liked it. Actually, he saw this, and he said that it reminded him of growing up in Fort Madison and running through the cornfields in Iowa, and so it's the whole, like I said, I get a little, like, weirded out by it. Oh, we got more people. And these people know, I was going to say, Ben knows all about Tremors. We're all good here. Let's see, what is Tremors? Like I said, that's my, and as we're going through here, we do have a question and answer portion in the middle. Feel free to ask questions every time we get to the end of something and you're just like, ass blasters? Like, really? Is that really what they wanted to stick with? And I'll try to answer that for you. So, like I said, what is Tremors? Yeah. It's the most family-friendly humor, horror, and humanity monster movie possible. It's actually the very first horror rom-com, which is actually a whole genre that we even have today. And it all started with Tremors. So, that's section 1! Any questions? No. Okay, moving on to section 2. Sorry, I have a whole thing in my head that I just got to ask each time. So why should you care about Tremors? I mean, I'm nuts. Clearly, it just seems like a thing for crazy people. I've got a whole station of memorabilia back there. There's tons of books. Actually, if you think, I gotta grab this because I'm talking. If you think that I'm crazy about Tremors, I have a book here that I didn't write. And this is a 300-page book that is literally about everything that I'm talking about. And this was written by a Scottish guy, Jonathan Melville, from about 2012 to 2015. He just got a wild hair up his butt that just like, there's not a book about Tremors, and there needs to be. So he just went out and he literally, I think there's about 50 plus caster crew that he interviewed, just emailed people, ended up talking to them all the way from Scotland. Like, he just managed to connect with people and just got every little bit of, even everything I'm telling you now, I go back to this book occasionally and I'm just like, oh, what did John say? Okay. So if you think that I'm nuts, and why should you care about Tremors? Well, everybody does. Really, if you were to sit down and watch this, I'm not doing as well as I should in selling how awesome Tremors is, but you would really just be like, okay, so this is really, I'm not going to hesitate, I would really call it sweet sometimes, especially the first 4 movies, and we'll get into it, what ends up happening. But the first 4 movies made by these people as part of the production company, Stampede Entertainment, absolute love. Like, you could not find just a monster movie franchise anthology of people that just really cared about what they were doing. And why do I care about Tremors? So the whole crux of everything that I'm doing here today is that these people that I'm talking about, Steve S.S. Wilson, Brent Maddock, Ron Underwood, and Nancy Roberts, they made this for, I'm gonna let them play again, just because more people are here. And I love, honestly, I really love looking at it. These people made this for 35 years. They made every single thing about this, and in a really switching it up kind of way. Like, one of the things that I love about Shriekers is that when they got asked to make a sequel, people were like, well, you gotta do the aliens thing, and you gotta make a bigger monster. You always gotta go bigger, And Steve was like, yeah, but that's not like, the whole point of the first Tremors was to flip the tropes. That doesn't really flip it. So he was like, well, what if they don't go bigger? What if they go smaller? And you get lots of them. You get lots of these little guys, and they go smaller all the time. And it's just, you're always flipping these little things on their head. And these people made everything about Tremors for 35 years until Universal decided, well, you came to us with the idea, it's our idea, we're going to take it from you. And they did. They just, and I mean that in the most blunt way possible. They just went, yeah, that's great, you're making that, and that's ours now. And they just took it right out of their hands. And so that's why I get a little weird and crazy as I'm talking about this, because I've actually become very good friends with Steve S.S. Wilson, the guy that I was talking about that came up with the idea, that's been writing this. I've got several of his books back there, and they did 35 years of making everything about Tremors, and literally while they were writing the 5th Tremors movie, which was going to take place in Australia, and they were writing it, Universal was asking for 10 years. Oh, we want it. Oh, we don't want it. Oh, we want it. Oh, we don't want it. Oh, we don't. Oh, you know what? Never mind. We're going to take your script, and we're going to walk away. And they had their script. They had their money, and they just left Stampede in the dust. And like I said, it makes me really sad. Breaks my heart. So why should you care about Tremors? Like, that guy. So Kevin Bacon hated Tremors. Absolutely hated it. He was having a baby at the time the first movie was made. And it caused him to have nightmares. He woke up in the middle of the night and he grabbed Kira Sedgwick. And he's like, I gotta save you from the worms. And she's like, let me down. And for 25 years, Kevin Bacon was like, I hate this movie. I never want anything to do with it. And then about 10 years ago, he finally rewatched it. And he was like, you know what? This is actually one of my favorite things I've ever done. I don't know why I hated this. I was having I put all of this hard time that I was having, and I put it on this movie. And it's the one role of Kevin Bacon's that he's ever wanted to come back to in his entire career. Now he's just like, he has been chomping at the bit for the last 10 years to like try to get back into Tremors because he made a mistake. And it's just like, hey man, I get it. We all have babies and we got to deal with that kind of thing. I get you, bro. But even Kevin Bacon has turned around. Look at Michael Gross. Michael Gross. Everybody knows Family Ties. I hope some people know Family Ties. He chose to spend the last 35 years of his life doing this. And he's actually one of the prime components of the Tremors Fest that we're going down to in Santa Fe. Even he's still excited about it. He still wants to make a Tremors 8. Or another season of the Tremors TV show, which got canceled prematurely. And Fred Ward, who actually died recently, was always wanting to come back to Tremors, never able to. Reba McEntire, which I really hope everybody does know Reba, that's one we should all know, has also always wanted to come back to Tremors. But Universal, and I'm not going to talk about how much I hate them, has always been like, yeah, we don't really want to work with you though. Her concert schedule makes it so it's really difficult to get in to do filming. But she's just like, man, if I could do a Tremors movie again, I would get in on that. And I mean that, that was a month ago she dropped one of those interviews. So Reba's still in the bit for it. So yeah, like, why should you care about Tremors? Because I care about Tremors. this dude cares about Tremors, all of these people. You gotta think when you're making that, all that goo and that slime and these pus bags, every little one of those things is someone just spending hours chiseling away to make something really kind of neat and beautiful. I was telling Justin, there's a wire. I love it. There's a little wire that comes up through here that runs up through there, and there's a little guy with a little puppeteer just like this back and forth. It's really just absolutely quite beautiful. If you're going to spend your time with something, I always say commit to the bit, and Tremors commits amazingly. That's my sales pitch. Watch Tremors. Watch more Tremors, folks. All right. So that's why should you care? Because everybody else does, and that's not even a bandwagon thing. Care because people care. Give them some love. And at this point, we're on to number three, and I'm going to bring up the best person in the room.
Well, I don't know how to compete with that, but Levi has asked me to talk about my experience with making the short video, what do we call it, short?
That's a short movie.
Short movie.
This is a documentary.
Right. What we're going to show you in a little bit is something that Levi and I did ourselves. No help from anybody, with the exception of these two over here, maybe. They helped us a little bit. But I wanted to share my experience with you, and I wanted to let you know that this right here is all I used to shoot the video. I didn't have a microphone, I didn't have a boom mic, I didn't have anything. What you see on the video later is me doing this and zooming in and different things like this. That's all it is. The audio is a little rough, and we have learned since what to do differently. But I went into that day not knowing anything. I was very lucky to have Levi just, oh yeah, just do whatever you feel. It'll look great, it'll be fine. Okay. I was really lucky with the fact that we only ever had to do anything once. Most times when you're shooting things like this, you have to do different takes of things because you forget your lines or you step out of whatever. This one right here did not have to do any extra takes of anything. We got everything in one take, and there's one scene that you're going to giggle at, and if you notice, it never cuts one time. And it was the first time that we ever did it. We never ever had to do it again. And that's pretty unheard of in the business. If you're around, that's very unheard of. So I just wanted to make that known. The audio in the video is titchy. It's only because we were outside and we didn't really know what we were doing. So I hope you really enjoy it. I'm really proud of it. I didn't expect to get as much out of it as I did. I learned a lot about my performing. I was able to put into perspective my time on the stage and being in front of people. And while that was all wonderful and great and I learned a lot from it, I actually learned that I prefer to be right here, behind the camera, making everyone else look really good. That's what I like to do. And I was able to learn that, and now we're going to make this sequel. I will be the one behind the camera, and I'm just really ready to do more of it.
What was the hardest part about filming?
The fact that I worked at the pharmacy that morning and then came and I wasn't all there mentally, and we did a lot of, I had to take my shoes and socks off at one point and cross a stream. I was climbing over fences and running around in the cornfield. Physically it was a lot, but I really, really enjoyed doing it just because I got to hang out with Levi all afternoon, and I got to help Levi bring into life something that you've been talking about for years, and I was able to help make you do it.
Okay. So is that your favorite part then? That would be my favorite.
My favorite part is that one shot in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I'll point it, I'll yell it out when we get to it, but there's
dancing involved.
Nope, that's not it.
Oh, no, oh, wait. Oh, no, that one. Oh, no. Oh,
there's
yeah.
this one particular shot in the movie where I've gotten a lot of compliments because people think that it's that we tweaked it or did something like post-production wise. Nope. Everything is completely real, not edited, not color edited, I guess, so to speak. And I'm just really proud of it.
That's it.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah.
You said you learned from shooting it, so what things did you learn? Or I don't know you could do differently, but what did you learn from this experience?
That's a really good question. So we actually did do reshoots, and that's only because we realized we had to have another scene to make it coherent at the end. And the hardest part about it was the sun. So we started out in the morning, the sun's over here. It goes like this, we all know. But you have to watch your shadow when you're filming, so you have to know where you're at, where your shadow's at, then also keep Levi. So there were points where I was doing like things like this to keep myself out, and now I know how to do that better without having to do weird things, or I was down here doing like that to stay out of the shot. So I learned how better to use the camera and not be so like physical and draining doing it.
It was actually really interesting as I edited, because you have the different shots from different days. I would have to zoom in when it was early, when she first started, because there were shadows and stuff. But then you could see about halfway through, she figured out, oh, that's my shadow, and I'd have to stop. I didn't have to pull in as much. Like she edited herself out, and I could see that as I edited myself. I was like, oh wow, she did. There was this great curve where you could see her get better with it throughout the day.
Well, and I mean, I held the camera like this. We've since bought like a stabilizer. We have a microphone now, so like everything is going to be a lot easier. I just was doing it bare bones. It's probably why it was so hard.
Let's see it.
I'm excited.
I got my if you want to see, this is actually a shot list. So this is my part of it. Why the hell did you make a Tremors movie, Levi? Because of actually everything that I just said. So there's a whole thing that I'll talk about when it comes to marketing Tremors, is that the reason that Universal stole Tremors was that they think, this is a quote, a direct quote, we can sell an empty box named Tremors. And I kind of wanted to hold them to that and be like, well, fine. I can sell an empty box named Tremors too, bro. And actually what's really cool is that this fan film that you'll see is actually the most watched Tremors fan film in all of the last 25 years of people making fan films. It's got 6,500 views on YouTube. Pretty proud of it. But the number one thing, like, you have to have an idea in your brain. I know that seems like really stupid. Of course you have to have an idea. But I did. I'd been working on this. I'd gone through this whole journey for the last couple of years. And I had this sort of thing. It was really down to the corn. I know that seems really dumb, but the corn was my main, like, I just saw graboids in it. And it was just like, you can, as I was talking about, you have to hide it. You have to hide the monster. You have to work around it a little bit. And to use the corn to make it seem like there was something there or whatever. And then I had this whole shot list in my head. So if you want to look at it, pass it around. And it's actually the most important thing. When you're making any movie, you have to have a shot list, which is what are you going to do? Okay, so as we're doing this board film thing, I pan up on Justin, and I'm in on Justin, and that's where board 1, board 2, board member 1, board member 2, board member 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way through. You really got to have that planned out in your head. It's, as I said with Tremors, the theme is planning, always planning. Sure, there's going to be some improvising. You're going to mess up. Okay, as Kaitlin said, you got to do reshoots. You got to come back again. So you got to be willing to work with it. But the how do you make a Tremors movie, as the how do you make Tremors, with your heart. That sounds really stupid, but it's true. You got like it's just I felt it. This little story that I had in my brain, and it was just like I have to bring it to life. And even one of my favorites, actually, this scene right here is of me dancing, was actually something that after we filmed everything and we did everything for the day, I was like, oh hey, what if we like added this scene where I danced to a song for 3 freaking minutes to it, and it was just like, it ends up being my favorite part of the whole movie because it's just, it's really dumb and stupid, and I love it.
It's my favorite part.
It's just so, it's so dumb. But that's where I say that like Tremors isn't just this like, oh, scary monsters thing. You got to have some humor and some humanity to it. Otherwise, it doesn't balance out the horror, and you end up just being too scary. And so my whole goal with, how do you make this, was to sell my empty box named Tremors. I think it did a pretty good job of it. And as Kaitlin said, I wanted to learn. And of course, I knew I had props here for some reason. So this is how you make a Tremors movie, folks. A sock, a syrup bottle, and a clear jug. That's it. That's literally, this is actually one of my favorite effects that we ended up doing. Anytime you see a graboid in the film, it's just this jug. Just this clear jug on a string. And this is where I say the whole thing with the corn, we ended up putting corn over top of it. And then you just you hide it, and then you just drag it along. And that was actually, it was one of my favorite things to film, but it was definitely the hardest. Being a person was super easy, but trying to figure out how to practical effects and get the shot right and pull it along here, super dumb, but just a clear plastic jug. That's how we make our monster. And another one of my favorite effects is you gotta have blood. It's a horror movie, y'all. So this was one that again I came up with on the day. Wasn't really planning it. It was just I gotta have there's a scene where a cow gets eaten, and I was like, well, let's have the cow spraying, and then Kaitlin's off screen, she's literally filming and doing this at the same time.
And it didn't work actually, and what you need to do is
she actually had to go up
top like this because you couldn't see it, and then it was really
up
hard.
and then back, and then it was a whole arc thing, and just absolutely beautiful. And then again, this was another one that we ended up kind of having to do reshoots on, because it was we had our graboid that you can see in the ground, but as you've seen, there's tentacles too. So I had to have a, and like I say, it's absolutely the dumbest thing in the world, but also when you're watching it in that couple of seconds, you're just okay, it's actually pretty good. And I have to say this, Jen actually gave me an idea after she watched it, where she's like, oh, you should spray paint some plastic or bottle caps and stuff, because the tentacles have horns, and then glue them on there. And I was like, where were you, Jen? Because it was that's actually pretty good. Thank you for that. And it's one that I haven't forgotten, so thank you for that. Yeah, and we're gonna play it. I know, I'm building up to it, because it's so exciting to tell all these different parts.
Okay.
And so we can ask questions later. I really just want to play it too, sorry.
Everyone wants to see it.
I know, man, I'm building up the hype. I get it. Hold on, I have to turn the TV off because I had the sound down. This is a whole thing. Forgive me for this.
Now just remember, the audio it's the hardest part to get right, and we're learning. So there are going to be parts where you're going to struggle to hear, but there are going to be parts that might be a little too much, but that's just, we were figuring it out, and we will learn from our mistakes. We now
That's
have
why we bought a camera.
Get a snack.
It was a whole thing.
Oh, actually, yes. If you would like to go get a snack before the movie,
Snacks!
Stephanie just
Go
informed
get
me
a
that there are
snack.
some snacks that you can get before the movie.
They filmed it all in 1989, and then it was another year before they actually released it in 1990. But they were actually writing the script from about 86 to 89. It was a whole, almost 4-year-long process, like they were writing it before that, of just, they were trying to sell it to studios, nobody really wanted it, and they finally found one producer that was just like, oh man, that's gangbusters, sign me up for that. And it was actually that producer that really, it wasn't Universal itself, it was that producer that was like, we have to make Tremors, this is awesome. Because, again, this is the very first horror rom-com, and nobody knew how to market that at the time. In fact, they still kind of don't, but it's one of those things.
I didn't have any idea that.
So, without further ado, everybody got your snacks? All right. Oh God, I'm super nervous. Here we go. This is my favorite scene in the whole movie.
This is the one take.
My favorite part.
This is Caitlin's favorite shot.
That grass was actually growing like that. It was that color.
You can tell what that was on the day. It's so stupid, but it's so well done.
Levi actually stepped on me. It hurt.
Just stupid enough to work.
I still think we should have had sparks come out of it, but
Agreed, disagree. You get one per movie. Like all good Tremors movies, you end where you begin.
Bravo, guys.
Sorry, I thought that would go slower.
Okay.
I told you it was stupid. Good times.
thank you, Anne. I
It was
really
really
enjoyed.
good.
I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. I've watched it 3 times now in the last couple of days. I was telling Kate this, where it's like, you're always hypercritical when you're watching things of yourself. And I was like, I have actually legitimately watched it 3 times in the last couple of days. Just like, this is actually pretty good. I believe that person is very scared right now. Oh wait, that's me. Oh, okay, that's fine. So, this is any questions?
So that was the milk jug?
Yeah.
Great.
Right?
That was the one we used, yeah.
You said that's actually my favorite effect. That one with the corn.
Yeah.
Just-
Well, and that's how we did it in the water too. You
Yeah.
just throw it out in the water and you catch the ripples
Actually, I think.
after.
Oh, sorry. I think with your sock that you did with your hand, I think you need to put like when you put it on, you need to have some like teeth on it,
Oh, that's a good one too. They do
Like
have little tiny
plastic?
teeth. Yep.
Yeah.
and then the little horn.
Yep. There's some vampire teeth. Actually, if you filed them down, that would actually probably work. Just glue them in there.
I have many teeth.
Oh, so that was a weird way to say that. But yes, she has many teeth. I hope so. You got a bunch in there.
Over, you got them.
And I have to point, the hardest thing, like when you're filming it and you're actually, like Kaitlin said, we're just doing it with a phone or whatever. And we were both super preoccupied with the look of it, how it looked and everything. It was only when I got it edited together that I'm just like, oh man, there's this whole sound design thing where like, because when you have clips and they all go together, the noise from one clip to the next is totally different. Absolutely. You've got background noise. I really tried hard. There's a couple times you hear cars and stuff going on. I actually masked a lot of it with corn noises. So if you heard a lot of that was me taking the noise from corn and then looping it and then running it through a bunch of different times. And I did a whole pass, edited it together, and was listening to it. It was like, oh man, this sounds terrible. Oh crap, I need to, like, there's music. This is why they add scores to things. This is why you have like a whole orchestral thing. So that's where the harmonicas came in, and I had Joe Evans had some harmonicas that I borrowed. And even after that, I had the harmonicas going. It's like, not enough. Well, I got this little drum that the boys have or whatever, and just gave it some Jumanji feel when it needed. So that's where you really don't know what you need until after you have everything else done, and then you're like, oh damn, where was that? That's important. So there's a whole. Don't ever let anybody tell you that the process of filmmaking is easy. Like, it's not.
I had an idea to make like a big, Tremors, the worm. Get a barrel
See, I've thought about this.
with a big string on it and
So
pull it
that's
through.
how they make. That's actually how they make it in the first one. Is they use an old Jaws effect where they have the buoy, and they actually buried a buoy under the ground, and they put this dental dam kind of plastic cover over it, pour a bunch of dirt and sand on it, and then they tie it to a Jeep, and then just drove that Jeep as fast as they could, and then you get this whole wave effect under the ground. And that's actually one that I keep, because I have a sequel that I'm doing or whatever, and it's like, I want something under the ground, so a barrel.
If you could get an old flat plane.
Oh,
From the wow.
Oh, no, I mean, just get it old one.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
that would be good.
The things that you put up in the pool to separate the lanes.
Oh yeah.
That'd be
Bury
the
one of
best
those
name
and
for
then hook it
worm
to
right
something.
there.
Dude, yeah.
That's a very good idea.
Okay, note to self. That's a good one.
Well, when we need to brainstorm for our sequel, we know who we're
We got
gonna
people
call.
for
I
it.
This
would
is
love
our
to help
core
you,
group.
like set stuff.
Bob, you
Like
got
I'm
great.
not a good actor, but set stuff I'm good. Like
Oh, well, thank you.
Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to say that was probably, I've been giving presentations on Tremors forever, but actually showing it to a bunch of people, I'm glad you all laughed when it was appropriate. It's good.
I will say, like, she had the lap lane. We could make one of those out of like heavy duty rope and like some pop can or pop bottles.
See? That's actually a whole thing. Kaitlin and I were filming for this in last September where we had a can of chains, a chain, how do I say that? A chain of cans. We had a whole bunch of metal cans on a chain, and we used the leaves because it was fall. So we're filming for the sequel, and we just like threw a bunch of leaves on top of it, and the graboid had eaten the chain, and so then it was dragging the chain through the leaves or whatever. That's another one of my, for the sequel, we got a whole effect for that, and I'm really excited for. Yeah, like little things like this.
When does the sequel hit the market?
Good question.
When it's done. So actually, that's where we'll maybe do a little bit of filming today for it. We're actually gonna go down to Tremors Fest and we're gonna film it. I have this idea. I was showing you, this is a docudrama. So this is gonna be loud. This is a whole docudrama, and this is real. Graboids are real. And so I'm gonna go. There's supposed to be a convention where this is happening, and I think the people that made that they know that these things exist. So I'm gonna go down there and I'm gonna ask them and see if they know what's happening. And because I've encountered these things up here in Iowa, and I'm telling you, we got a real problem. And actually, like I said, I've been talking to Michael Gross, and I have one thing that I want to ask him, because he plays the Burt Gummer character, and I'm like, hey, Michael, so like, I can't use the Burt Gummer character, because that's like copyrighted, but Michael Gross isn't copyrighted, so like, what if like, I annoy the hell out of you, and you're like, kid, listen, man, Burt Gummer's not a real thing, my name's Michael Gross, I'm just an actor.
If you can get that to happen,
It's
that
not 100% set in stone, but it's like, man, yes, you were in the movie. Your name was at the end, buddy. Yes. Ow. So anything else? Anything else before we let people go who want to get going? And again, I really appreciate everybody being here.
Thanks for coming.
That was really dumb and fun.
Well, stay tuned. We'll call you for this.
It's,
like,
yes,
we need,
there'll be
like,
another one of these for the sequel.
You might be like one of those. Like, you might be our effects girl.
Really, yeah.
Thanks for coming, y'all.
So nowadays.
Love you too. Be safe this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I have a lot of work.
Great grandchildren.
Thanks for coming. Well, now I have something to hold the camera, so all I have to, it holds it steady, and then a microphone comes up off
Because
of it.
the Bluetooth was on for headphones.
You're moving up. I am moving up the technology wise, yes.
Well, I'm gonna ask you how to use my cell phone. Thank you very much.
Anytime. Thank you for coming.
Oh, any kind of distance, like it don't matter. It's like a whole thing. Like, they're like having this
Second step told me.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Like that's actually, I didn't even think about that. Like that's actually a really like
You did a good job.
Do you want to be
Bluetooth.
Oh, I'm not a good actor.
You're gonna get a writing
You
credit.
need to not.
What about having an idle
Not to do
pharmacy
what?
where you going in the background to hide any of the
Oh,
other
graboids
cars
aren't
passing
real.
by?
Idle what?
Idle like a tractor running in the background, you get the tractor going.
You have to.
That way you can use that
like
to
behind the
be
scenes.
any cars passing
That's
by
it.
would be
Yeah,
easier to
yeah,
match
and
with
food.
more.
You can do it, but then
Because
because of the nature of
Feeding the
graboids,
crew.
that they're
No,
attracted
I
to
was just
sound,
telling Jen,
you always have to
we did
tell
a
yourself like,
Yeah.
wait,
Her?
Yeah,
that
I'm
noise
always coming up with ideas I
louder
can just
than a
never
human
put
being
them
to make them
into
chase it?
action.
Your ideas
Right.
with
So that's where I
her.
But if you
guess
leave it in,
Yeah.
if you leave it in the barnyard,
Yeah,
like
I
a tractor
can't
going
pay
in
you
the barnyard and you're
Oh
over in the
shit, I'm not
field,
even worried about money.
They
It's
might
just
go
be
for the
nice
tractor.
to get
That's
out of the
actually
house
my,
and
like,
do something
that's,
fun.
I can
you,
pay
that
you
will give
love.
your character
Oh,
the
love
off,
and food.
like, and then you get
And
your
I
scene
feel-
of, oh, that's what they're attracted to.
Yeah,
Gina's the actor in the family. You're better than me.
Can you literally go, graboids aren't real, I don't believe you,
No.
you're nuts!
No.
yeah, that's all you gotta do. That's all you
No,
gotta do.
Literally all
no,
you
like
have to
I
do.
will like stress like it, like
No,
I'll
yeah.
stress completely.
Okay.
Like just talking about.
Again, we don't have to
making
be.
it
It was a
fun.
whole. I just had this like
We can
as
do
an
it other
aside
times,
thing.
too.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the. If anything, we were gonna film my part of it, where I'm talking about it and trying to
If you
convince
want to,
people.
we can.
Oh no, I figured just to show them, so that they're like, oh, you're fucking stupid. Like that's funny. I was hoping people would laugh when I said that, but apparently I'm not stupid. Great.
Well, we don't have to, and we could literally just go get some dinner with our friends.
That's fine too. Honestly. Like I said, I really appreciate everybody being here.
Yeah.
Like this is a, I was super nervous, and that was a good time. Just
Very nervous. I loved it.
thank you.
I'm excited for you guys.
Yes. Like that's the whole. Yeah. We're traveling 18 hours to go do this again.
It's exciting.
I know. Like,
Let us
that
know
was-
when you guys are getting ready to do some more, and then.
Oh yeah, well that's I have, like I said, I have a whole plan for it. If it, I wanted some of these board members to get eaten because that's irony. No, I did. It was like they were gonna be like graboids aren't real, and then in Act 3 they get eaten by graboids, and it's funny.
Gene could be one of your people.
Yeah,
Depending
it's
on
not
where-
that. Again, all you have to do is harumph. Rabble noises. I didn't see this on Fox News. You know, stuff like that.
It was a
See you
beautiful
later.
day
Look
that
down.
we found also.
What?
Perfect weather day that day.
Oh yeah, well that was, we wanted to film some stuff in the snow too, because that's the whole thing. That would have been a great cheat, and you're always trying to think of different ways to cheat.
But how would that work with a graboid physiology? How do they react in the cold?
You know,
They see it in the warm, like
so-
in the desert.
I know, right? And there's Tremors 6, where they're in the snow, and it's because there's global warming. And I was gonna cheat a little, just because it's like, I was gonna call it that, where it's just a little bit warmer. And in fact, it doesn't necessarily say that they need warm climates. The things that you need to make a graboid egg hatch are warm water. It has to be in warm water for a certain amount of time, and then it incubates it. So if you've got that, and actually, that was actually my harder thing of trying to find somewhere in Iowa that looks like a warm water spring in the middle of winter, which isn't really a thing. So that's my whole.
You find something with a fountain. Because the water moving.
That's what I mean. Like, but you have to find it in the natural landscape.
A hot spring in Minnesota.
And that's traveling to Minnesota. We're trying to localize it.
Yeah, like
Okay.
it had that like
Cause you could do just like, rocks
On
and build the snow up to it, and then the kiddie pool just pumps the water.
Okay, see, this is actually, that's not terrible.
Or there's the, bubble massage bathtub things that just create bubbles.
You know how some farmers for their cattle have heated water?
Oh yeah, water heaters.
What if some graboid laid an egg in the heated water trough amongst the cows?
Oh, that's actually really good.
And it's warm and it's hot and it could be in the wintertime?
If it laid it nearby,
Yeah.
and then you say that like the water heater like broke, and then, cause that
Oh,
shit,
yeah,
oh my
yeah,
god, that
sure.
happens all the fucking time.
Sure.
And then, oh my god, never
maybe.
mind. Sorry guys, Dessa beat ya on that one. That's actually, damn. Note to self on that, that's actually pretty good.
Put me in the credits as graboid egg nurse.
I hate that.
Graboid egg nurse. Taking care of them.
you
Put
could
them
be
in
a
the
villain.
bathtub.
You could be like a Lake Placid lady, but like taking care of the graboid.
Oh, she was feeding grab, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's,
That's right there.
yeah, there's a whole thing with the sequel that there's the, obviously graboids have been around for like millions and billions of years.
Oh,
That like, people know about them, but they haven't done anything. And so, maybe one of those people is Grandmama Dessa, feeding pigs to the graboids.
That's right.
Who knows? Our underground friends.
Underground friends.
They're so cute. Like I said, they are. I love Shriekers the most. They're really so cute. I have to say, so the boys have actually wanted to film a couple of times.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
always have a hard time because I'm like, I just want you guys to get eaten. I do. I do. But that's not good. I can't have a little child get eaten. I know. It would be really bad if you got sucked into the dirt, buddy. Oh, yeah. Hey, be nice. What?
It's been really good.
And we're gonna put you down.
Feed you to a graboid now.
What?
Now we're gonna feed
Now we're gonna feed you to a graboid.
I'll feed it to a graboid if you don't want to.
No, I did, but Maji and Trell wanted to go film one day, and I was like, I just kind of want you guys to get eaten. But that's not good. That's honestly, it's one of those just like, man, talk about upping the stakes. A little kid got eaten.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Now we're game changer, but it feels a little mean. So
I feel like
I
you
do.
could work in some, politics there. The freedom of the graboids is more important than cheese lockers.
That's actually an episode of the TV show.
Oh, wow.
There's a whole bunch of people that come to the town because they're like, graboid rights, and you need to leave the graboids alone. So you're not wrong. Okay, buddy.
Come on, totally have another council meeting and have like a Jaws moment. Where like the mother and the child comes up and slap.
Oh!
Oh!
Well, that's why I wanted to do it, because they have that. They have Alec Kinsey in Jaws meeting, and Tremors is a huge homage to Jaws, and I think that would just be the ultimate. That's why I said I would love the whole point of the boardroom scene when I do it is that like everybody ignores the problem, and then it rears. Like it would be one of those like graboids attack the county fair, or like a concert at the green space or something, and it's just like, well, we told you, but you didn't listen, and then you gotta save the day, but then a little kid gets eaten. Oh, I'm a bad person. That would be. I do, like I said, it's just one of those like, but it's like the mayor in Jaws. We fucking told you, and like allowed a kid to get eaten. It's a whole thing. So any other fun ideas? You guys are like a wellspring. Just want to tap that.
The warm wellspring.
Oh!
I was thinking that they could have like a slight physiology change in the cold weather. Like maybe they get slower, but they get like stronger.
They get furrier.
Okay, I thought that's where he's going to.
Actually,
Actually, I actually did think they would get slower. That was actually a head
But
canon.
like they're hardened,
like,
like being slower in the cold, their skin like
They're
gets natural-
meatier.
Yeah, they get meatier.
Like they're a little like.
So they're a little bit like chunkier, but then that makes them stronger. So they're not like you can like catch them, but you can't kill them because they're just that hard to kill.
That was actually part of my head canon idea when I did this, was that graboid's particularly slow, and I kind of had a thought that it's not in the right environment. Like we are in Iowa, and so there's this whole like the graboid's kind of having a hard time with everything, and so that's why I'm able to outrun it. It's kind of hard to convey that inside of
You could have kids having a snowball fight behind like a bunker, and then the one kid just doesn't start throwing snowballs back anymore. They go over there, and there's just like a little hat and mittens.
oh, sad.
So
You don't see the child actually
yeah.
get eaten.
you just made me want
You
to kill a
just
bunch
know
of
that they
kids
got eaten.
in it. Like
It's
got all these
like
good.
a snow fort, and then Joe just falls out of it. So it looks like a snow
We don't need like blood. We can just have it like.
Oh, you got to though. Like it's because it's all snowy and white. That like just a little.
splash of red.
Maybe
One of
not for
those
the
fishes.
child. For like adults.
Oh.
The adults find the hat, and then they get eaten, and that's the blood.
I feel like it's eating like a popcorn chicken versus like a chicken breast. I mean, you can like a child.
Oh yeah. They'd
But
still be.
like-
Oh, they would still be
Chicken
hungry.
child.
But like a chicken
Yes.
breast, you gotta like tear that
Right.
from like cleave flesh from bone.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Only imply the child was eaten, and then the child comes back later.
It's a red herring.
A red herring.
The whole time, like he just went inside the house and like.
He's fine.
Killed a child. Bad.
You're not gonna believe what I saw, guys.
Like midway through the third act, like the child's like, no, you gotta go back in the room. We got something happening now.
I've seen some shit.
I can't wait to be the eccentric lady that's like feeding the deer, feeding the birds, feeding the gremlins.
I'm gonna work that in.
Thank you. I will do it.
Guess up. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
just out there, I'm like feeding the graboids left over.
It's like that movie we watched where she feeds the crocodiles or whatever.
Lake Placid.
Yep,
That's what
Lake
we're
Placid.
Oh, you guys are talking about it? Okay.
I'm a Lake Placid lady.
That was Betty.
Yeah,
The
the
bears,
bears,
yeah.
and then eventually was eaten by the bears.
Wait, cocaine bear?
No, there was a lady up north in Wisconsin that was known for like feeding the bears. Like she would make them
Oh.
peanut butter sandwiches, and then she'd like hand feed them on her porch, and they all really liked her. But then one day this male bear like moved into the territory and stuff and was mean. She like journaled every day. It was so sad. She's like, the mean bear came back and he chased away Bobby the bear. And then the journal entries stop, and she's killed by the mean bear. in her front yard.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
That's a great way to end that story, though.
Yep.
Okay, these are all great ideas. Like, I got a whole trilogy planned, and I'm using these. No, I did. Like this, I got this sequel, but then I had one afterwards too. This is actually pretty
You
good.
break that, Stephanie will make you pay for it. You think I'm joking about that?
Cool.
I wouldn't.
Well, I will pack up
Excellent
and allow you guys
job.
to be free of talking about fucking Tremors all the time.
Oh, that was wonderful, Levi.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
Thank you.
Kaitlin and I were really excited to put it on together.
I can't wait to see the
You
sequel.
can take one home.
Look, yes.
Take it home.
Yes, I will take it home.
That's why I made them.